It's a contradiction to the values of our country to continue economic terrorism. The DEA is a social and economic terrorist. How can I help my country? Disrupting and eliminating adequate resources for healthy lives. Civil asset forfeiture is a crime. The DEA covertly benefiting from the war on drugs. Deterring crime and drug use lies to use retribution-based system. Robbing the people of their economy. The DEA covertly benefits from the war on drugs through civil asset forfeiture. Wars that are based on retribution because the system is based off an economic, social terrorism. Because a rehabilitation system would overwhelm the system with a need for treatment, and a retribution system keeps funding economic terrorism. Why do we have a war on drugs? The answer, because it continues the government's funding of a retribution-based system rather than rehabilitation, and it's cheaper to rob people than treat people. It benefits the government to rob people. Civil asset forfeiture is a crime. There would be much need for rehabilitation. So the retribution, as a byproduct of retribution, it creates a violent opposition. Black Lives Matter, and a byproduct of police violence is social rioting due to inadequate resources to deal with the rehabilitation of offenders and crime. Lethal crime deterrence and retribution's blowback. Economic terrorism. Cartels, jails, prisons, no access to health care, disruptions, and eliminating adequate resources to healthy people's lives. Social economic terrorism, thieves, social retribution rather than rehabilitation, because it's cheaper to do rehabilitation and keep funding the war rather than having underfunded rehabilitation. It's better for the government, not us. Economic terrorism that leads to rioting across the country due to economic crisis, underpaid workers, and a byproduct of government-sponsored economic retribution. Economic terrorism. Systematic retribution, unequal punishment for the poor, because the rich can afford to buy their way out of problems, but the poor can't. And the hands of justice are not with the DEA. The DEA is an economic terrorist profiting off of the American people. Let this be clear, creating social injustice through retribution is a byproduct that creates more crime, social rioting, and inaccess to adequate resources to deal with social problems, health care. Because the DEA and government is a social terrorist who benefits financially through civil asset forfeiture.